create an account.
Okay. Full stop.
So yeah, forms. You have different forms. You have the login form. You have the contact us form. You have the the search form too. So quickly, okay. Before that, let's arrange our file. So I want us to go to where we created our folder. That is in the documents. Let's go to the documents and where we have our working folder that we have been using before. So what I want us to do is to create a folder and call it portfolio. Okay. Call it portfolio. Then we put in these things inside the portfolio. The files we have been working with. So how we copy or rather cut and paste it inside here. Paste it inside here. Then we come out, then I create another folder called forms. I don't know, are we following? Let me see your reaction in the comments, in the chat box. So I will know if you're following. I'm trying to rearrange our working files now so that we don't mix it up. Okay, that's great. Daniel and Vincent. Okay, that's great. So it's very good we arrange our working folders and files so we don't mix things up. Okay, that's great, Elvis. So yeah. Okay. So now we go over to our VS Code. We go to File and Open Folder. If you want to leave this window for our old and working file, which is this one, you can come down here and right click, okay, and go to Visual Studio Code or New Window, whichever one works for you. All right. So if I go to my file, I will go to Open Folder. Takes me to my documents. So I will I click on Forms and select Folder. Okay. Okay, so I have my working folder now open. Okay, I have it open. Then yeah, like we did the last time, we all know how to create our file and our folder. Okay, so now we are going to create a file, call it index.html, which is our index file. And yeah, we create another file, our style.css, which we'll be using much later. So now in our index, we create, yeah, we use the shift and exclamation to give us kind of a starting file or a default template. I hope we all got that. Instead of writing it out this way, VS Code enables us to get this basic template structure. Okay. So in the title here, we are going to change it to from. Okay. So yeah, in forms, like I said, it enables a user to send out their information or data to a server for processing. Okay. And yeah, like the name suggests, we have a tag called form, HTML tag called form. Okay. Now this action is an attribute. Like we've learned in our previous classes, we said attributes describes the tag where it resides. Okay, it's a way of uh, describing the tag more, or what makes up the tag. Okay, and this action now is an attribute that defines the location where your file, where your data or details are going. Remember, the form is to submit to send out your details or information to a server. So this action is where you add or where you insert the URL, the location where your file is going. Okay. So it could be something like okay. Now this could be the place where your file is going to be processed, or where the form contents are going to be processed. Okay, it could be any other URL, but the action basically is for the location where whatever you're sending in the form is going to. Okay. And in forms, we have another thing. These are the two basic attributes. The two basic attributes a form should at least have. Okay. So mostly we use the get or the post. Okay. Then the post now. The post enable you to is a method where your data is sent, like how it is being sent. Okay. So if you use the posts, if you use the posts, it should kind of hide the form contents. It should hide the form contents. It should have it should hide when you use a post, it will hide the contents of the form. Okay. To hide it, which is safe. But if you use get, it's going to attach the contents in the URL. You know where the URL is located in your browser. So it's going to be attached to the location that is inside this action now. So it's going to be attached to it when you use the get. The things inside the form will be attached to it, which is risky if you are sending out sensitive information or data. So you should know when to use the posts. We use posts most times because when you're sending out sensitive data or information, it doesn't show on the URL. Okay, so that's the two most basic attributes in a form. Now, inside the form, it has the form tag is kind of a container, just like the div. The div could be a container housing and other elements, you know, kind of grouping them together to maybe style them together. Okay, so this form groups other elements, so it acts as a container too. Okay, it groups other elements to form this basic the form as a whole. Okay, so one of the elements inside the form is the input. Okay, this is one of the should I say most important thing in the form, because the form comes with the input, like the go hand in glove. Okay, like when you have a login form, you have this tag, then you have this input. You have contact us form where you could have the email and message, and yeah, username. The login form, the registration form. Like this is how it's being gotten. Okay. So now the input tag inside the form. The input tag is so should I use the word now, dynamic? But it can take different forms without changing the name of the tag. That's the input. It can take different forms without changing the name. Okay. So if we go, let's try going live to see how it's showing on our browser. So yeah, we have this. Yeah, we might be familiar with this. Those of us that always on Facebook and signing up to so many websites. So yeah. So now what makes it takes many forms? It's just this one attribute. Yeah, we've explained attributes. It's just this one attribute that makes it take many forms. Okay. Now we have this. The input has a type of text. Okay. So if we type here, you can see there's a text inside. So the input box is showing the text we are typing. Okay. And we have different types of inputs, like different types of inputs. Okay. So we're seeing some of them now. So when I come down, then this one is password. Okay. So when we type, it encapsulates the text we are typing inside, or whatever it is we are typing inside. It hides it because the type is password. And yeah, you don't have to show people your password when you're typing it, unless you want to like view if it's correct or not, which should be kind of an optional stuff. It shouldn't be a default for people to see your password. So that's what the type of input does. The password makes it show like a password. Okay, makes it show like a password. Then we also have a type of email. Okay, type of email. Yeah, of course, the email should be showing. So to show your text. Okay. We also have a type of you have a type of dates. Type of dates. You can see how it's showing. Sorry, let me get this off here. You can see how it's showing. So when you click, it gives you a kind of a calendar where you can choose your dates to insert. Okay. So it's showing the default date we have today, which is the 13th. Today is 13th. Okay. So you can use this to insert the date in your form. Also, we have the search inputs. Okay. Now these other forms, you can see the one for text now. And let's know the difference in the search input box. When I tap, okay. Search. Okay, yeah. It gives you this sign. Okay, where you can click and delete all of them. Okay. You can see the difference between the normal input type of text. It doesn't show us that X kind of icon, but this one does, because it's a search input type. Okay. So we have so many input types. You have the one of radio. which is our radio button. Which is our radio button. We have the one of the radio button is used to choose options. To choose options, okay? To choose options, which might have used one way or the other. Then we have the one of checkbox. Of course, you can use this too, where you maybe in a form where you choose your country or your state or your gender. These two could be used in there. Okay. Then we also have the one of range. The one of range. Yeah. One of range. Okay. These range can be used when you want to filter a search. Maybe for instance a restaurant. Maybe you're searching for a store that sells items, let's say clothes. This range could be used to filter the price range. Maybe a store that sells a piece of trousers. Maybe the middle one is from 8,000, then you move out to 10,000. So this range could be used for that, and yeah, other things that can come with the range. Okay. We also have the file inputs, which allows you to upload a file. When you click, it takes you to your local file to select the file. Okay. So that's what the file does. We also have a select. Okay. So select. And then submit, not select. So the submit is kind of a button. It's a button like interface. You can use it to submit the form values or contents. Okay. Can be used to submit the contents of the form. So you could see one tag having different types. Same tag, different types. So yeah, the input is very essential in the form elements. Okay. And yeah, we must have seen these input types in so many places. So many places. Now, this type is an attribute of the input. It also has other attributes. That's other attributes that comes with it, which we might which we will still be going through. Then I want us to observe something. You can see they are aligning on the same line, side by side. All the inputs tags that we use. Just that this one came down here because there's no more space. So it was pushed down.
Hi everyone, good evening. Can you all hear me? Okay, so, can you hear me? Like, can you hear me? Could you indicate in the chat? Like, can you hear me? Let's see in the chat. Hello? Hello? Okay, cool, cool. So, yeah, so I guess our tutor's network might have gone bad. So let's just wait a bit for him to rejoin the call, right? Now let's just give him some 2 minutes. All right.
Hello, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, please, Gospel, what happened? Where is the facilitator? Sorry.
Yeah. Just abruptly went off the floor. So I was thinking maybe network or something.
All right, I'll be right back. Let me confirm.
So yeah, we are at this point. Last time I left, we are talking about the input type submit, which is used to submit the button. So I was talking about okay, I was explaining, sorry, I was explaining why these input types were aligned side by side. But let's explain that when I was logged out. So yeah, you can see how it's aligned side by side, even though in our code, it was aligned under each other. So what this simply means is the input tag is also part of the inline element. Okay, it's part of the inline element. Now, inline elements are elements that align side by side. Yeah, they align side by side. And the div is a block element. So we have inline elements and block element. These are the two types of display elements we have in HTML. So I wanted to use because we are having this aligned together. So that's why I'm trying to explain it. For instance, we have lists item. Have a list item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see the way they are aligned under each other. Okay, they start from a new line. Each item, that's each of the list items starts on a new line. That's why it's called a block element. It utilizes its width, the whole width. So there's nothing beside it. So if you right click and if you click on this and hover over the one of the list items, you will see that you can see the width is occupying. Okay, you can see the width is occupying. So let's check for the input. You can see how short their width is. So they don't occupy the full width where they are residing. So that's the difference between inline and block elements. So we have different elements that are block elements and inline. So then the span tag, just like the div, is used as a container for grouping elements together to either style them together. So it's a kind of container for div, the kind of container, a block element container. okay, that could be used to group items. Okay, then the span is some kind of an inline container. It can also be used to group elements, but they'll be showing inline. But the span tag is an inline element too. It's an inline element too. We have so we have well, we have two. Okay, so you can see how it's aligned side by side. That's using the span. Okay, at the beginning it was a div. It will be aligned to be starting on a new line, each of the elements in a div. So that was the difference. Okay. So yeah, I want us to because most of the things in the form. Okay, we also have something called text area. Okay, in a form. Okay, Flourish, you said you wanted to say something. I don't know if I'm sounding clear. Please let me know.
Yes, you're sounding clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Okay. So this is how a text area shows by default. This is how it shows by default. So this is the tag for it. Okay, you could see it in the contact us form where we have username, or where we have email and subject and message. Okay, that's why it's used. So yeah, I want us to for us to like understand the form and some of the elements, how it's being used, and let's just use it to build a little form. Okay. This form. So I want us to build this form. I don't know if you can see it very well. So I hope you can see the form very well. Yeah. So we could beat this form with the form elements. So yeah, let's just quickly okay, Flourish. Okay. So can we just quickly do that? The form. So first of all, let's add a parent div to it. we do and quotes. So I don't know if there's any question while we are on it, maybe any clarification you need to know. Okay, Vincent. Method is yeah, the method is the way your data is being sent. Like I said, the action is the location where the method is going, where the form elements where you're sending it to. And the method now is how it's being sent. Okay. And you said the two most common ways of the two most common methods value is the post and the get. Okay. Okay. Then I will come back to your question, Clinton. So using the post now, the data is sent kind of in the request body. That is the URL inside this action. So the action is the URL. That is the location. Okay, the location where the data is going to be sent. And this method is, what is the method is going to be sent? For instance, let's use okay, like a bus now moving. Maybe the bus is conveying some people. Okay, so some are sitting inside, while some might decide to like hang at the door. Yeah, you see mostly in commercial transportation. And I'm trying to use a familiar instance so we can understand it more. So the post now goes with the body of the request, like it's inside. You don't see it in the URL. For instance, when you use post now, you don't see the value here. Is what I mean. You don't see the value here. Okay. But if you use get, the value and the contents of the form will be here. Like you'll be seeing it here. If it is your password, if it is your username, you'll be seeing it here when you use the get. Okay. But when you use the post method, you will not see those things here. Okay. So it's advised when you're sending out sensitive information, with the form, you don't use the get, you use the post. Okay. I don't know if I answered your question, Chinonso. I don't know if I answered your question, Chinonso. Then Clinton. Now using div now, he said there are so many divs in the code. Now, like I said, now divs are used to group elements, or the div used to group an element. The element might be like I said, the div is kind of the div is kind of a container that could be used to house an element. Okay. Like I said, the div is a block element. Okay. If you wrap an inline element inside a div, you can style those elements like a block. Like you can style it as a whole. Okay, just like maybe for instance maybe in a family now, when you come to a family, maybe an award or a cash prize wants to be given to each of the family members. Okay, it can be given to each of the family member, right? Then it can be given on the name of the family as a whole. Do you get? As a whole. So using div now to group those elements, you can style them as a block of elements. You can style them as one. Okay, and also using so many divs is as a matter of preference too. You know, people structure their website differently. So you could use less div if you want to still work for you. Okay, there's no really single way to structure your website, but we are following standards. That's the thing. Okay. So, but if you use less div and achieve your this thing, it's still good. Yeah, thank you, Flourish. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know if I answered your question, Prince. Not Prince, sorry, Clinton. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay, okay. You're welcome. Okay. So yes. So inside the form we have a H2. Okay. So let's keep this a class of so this class now with the value of container is in this HTML now is an attribute, like a class attribute. Okay. We still talk more on that. So we have a H2. Then we have a div. Now, in VS Code, you can add a class attribute or an ID attribute to a div while creating it. Okay. Now, doing that, you just have to do a dot the class name. For instance, we name this form control. So to create a div with a class that has a value of form control. So that's a shortcut. If you do a pound sign or a hash sign and say form control, to create a div with an ID of form control, okay? Then by default, when you do dot form control, it also creates a div. So yeah, it helps you kind of write code faster. Okay. So yeah, you have a div. And yes, another tag that goes with inputs that also goes with the form is the label tag. Okay. Like the name suggests, you just kind of labeling the inputs. Okay. So the label is just to label the inputs. And also this is used for processing too. This for is used in the back end. So whenever there's a label, there should be a for. The for is whatever the label is pointing to, which in this case, we have an input. An input, then yeah, like I said, the input could have other properties, not just the type property, the type attribute, sorry. It could have other attributes. So one is, yeah, like you've seen earlier on, the ID of username. So let's see email. So if you check it on the browser, you have this. Okay. So it's a kind of label that goes with this. Okay. Then you can see, even though we have a label for this, we can also add an attribute to this input. Maybe telling the user what it's used for. Okay. You say enter username. And yeah, it shows right inside. So you can, once you start typing, it goes off. Okay. So these are also some of the attributes that can be in an input tag. Of course, you know what the type does. This ID is kind of an identifier. Okay. Yes, thank you, Kristen. Thanks for that. Yeah, should be user name. Should be username. Okay. Then the next thing we should have is a small tag. Yeah, like the name suggests, it's used to create small write-ups or elements. Okay. Though the small elements can be achieved with the CSS. But yeah, HTML has a tag that naturally or by default makes anything that goes inside it small, okay? Like the things we have in our footer, the copyrights, all rights reserved, yeah. A small tag can be used to achieve that. Can also achieve that in the CSS. So, but this small tag, we are going to use it in our JavaScript, which we'll be doing much later. Okay. So yeah, we have this. So what we can do is copy from here. And paste. It should be 4. It should be 4, okay? Then we edit accordingly. It should be error message. Then here should be email. So before I forget, this 4 should be the same value with the ID, okay? Should be the same value with the ID. So we have a username. That should be email. Then ID of email too. ID of email too. So the type should be email. Okay. We have this. Then here we have password. 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 Then enter password. Okay. Message. Here is confirm password. Should be password. So ID should be password 2. Should be yeah. So we have this now. Sorry, the password should be type of password. Thanks for pointing out. Okay. The type should be password. The type should be password. So this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. Okay. This is how it should look like. Yes, the email, the type is email. Yeah, Daniel, the type of the email label should have a type of email. Okay. Then yeah, yeah, we could before now we've not used the button tag. So like the name suggests, we use the button for buttons. We use it for this too. So this is how it shows. This is how it shows. So yeah, I want us to also add something. We talked about okay, just like this form, it has an icon, like the eye icon. Okay. So yeah, you can add it. We have you add it in the password, the two passwords. Okay. Okay, I just did now, Christian. This is what we are working towards to. Okay. So after creating the HTML, we'll be using CSS to make it look like this. Okay, to make it look like this. So we'll be creating something like this. Should be a functional form. So we also make it to be functional. Okay. So for now, this is the one we have. So if you follow through this code, you have exactly what we have now. You have this. So what I wanted to add is under the inputs in the first input for the password, under it we add the icon tag. Like we said, the icon comes with the class attributes that houses the icon that is going to display. Okay. So it's going to house the icon that we are going to use. So yeah, if you go to font awesome, the font awesome, this is the URL for font awesome. If you go to fontawesome.com, you have a almost all the icons you would want to use. So you can copy the whole of this icon tag and paste there. Okay. And copy it like this. Then yeah, we come here and paste. Okay. So we paste the two. So let me copy the URL for that. Copy this URL. So if you go to fonts, Font Awesome, and you either create an account, if you don't have one, then I think they send a personal URL to your email inbox. Okay, something of this nature. Okay, something of this nature. So with this live URL, the icons will only show when you are connected to the internet. Okay. So you can see the icon here. You can see it here. So that's what the Font Awesome can give you with the icon tag. Okay, with the icon tag. Then we have an ID. You add an ID to the icon tag, which we call okay. So this can be a registration form. Okay. So if you're following up, you should have something like this. Should have something like this. Okay. So now we are grouping this form control. We grouped these elements inside the form controls to kind of style it in group. Okay. They have the same class names. All right. So whichever styling we do with this name will affect this, and this. Okay. I don't know if you have any questions so far. Please indicate. So we clarify and move on. So these attributes of an element. Okay, an element can have more than one attribute. It can have more than one attribute. Like this one has a type attribute with a value. Now the attributes come with a type and value too, okay? So you have a type attribute with a value, and you can see the value comes after and equals to, right? So an attribute with the name and value. So this one has 3 attributes. So elements, HTML tags or elements can have more than 1 attribute. Now, like we've been saying, the attributes describes more about the element, like the things. Just for instance, a human being, when they say the attributes of a person, you can say he's kind, he's social, maybe he has forgiving heart, you know. So yeah, like this input, and I can see how the attribute changes everything. The type attribute, you can see how it changes everything about an input. Once you change the value of the attributes, it changes. Okay. So that's that for attributes and the form elements. I don't know if you have questions, please let me know. So are we all even following at all? Do you have the form in our code editor now? Okay, Daniel. Okay. Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Okay. So like I said now, the forms can be, can create forms, different forms. Okay. It could be a registration form, it could be a login form. Like we know, like we know, the login form has only 2 inputs, right? It has the username and password. So if it's a login form, it won't be this long. It will be just probably this first one and second one. Yeah, maybe username and password. Okay. Likewise, other types of other forms you can create, like the contact us form, could have 2 inputs and 1 text area. Like I've showed us how the text area looks. Okay, by default. You can also style it in the CSS. Okay. So the form, okay. So yeah, you can also use the form for the search. When we have, like in some of the websites we visit, we have the search, we have the provision to search for maybe the items or anything pertaining the website we visited. Even in our Google search, we have you search for form. It has a form search, something like that. Just like here, we have the ability to search. Okay. So we use forms to create those things. Okay. So is there any question you could I could answer here? I don't know if there's any question we can answer here. So inside the form, let's give it another attribute, which is the ID of form. So yeah, I'll be explaining this ID and class more in details when we go into CSS. Okay. Yeah, this ID in an input is important. Okay. Now, first of all, if the input has a label, these 4 attributes will be the same value of the ID attribute too. Okay. Now, ID is a means of identifying an element. Okay. It's a means of identifying an element. Right. Likewise, the class. So they are both means of identifying an element, the ID. So it's important in an input. It's important to, even in all the elements we have, if we are to get to them, we need to give them an identification using the class or the ID. Okay, but I will be explaining more in details the difference between the ID and the class and how it is used. Okay. So yeah, an element could also have an ID and a class at the same time, just like the form tag has an ID with the same value and a class with the same value. Okay. Any further questions? So yeah, before we go, the text area, by default, it comes with number of columns and rows. Okay. So if we check it, yeah, you can see how big it is. And by default, it's resizable. Okay, it's resizable. It's resizable. So, but you can change the number, yeah? Let's make it 20. Okay, the columns, to make it 20. You can see how short it is. You can make it 50. You can see it's stretching out. Okay, and the rows, if you make it 30, you can see how it's stretching vertically. Okay. So, but for you to adjust it better, we do that in the CSS. Gives you more room to make the adjustments the way you like. Okay. It can also have a placeholder. Can have a placeholder too. So you have a placeholder here called message. Once you start typing, it disappears. Yeah, that's for the text area. But we are not going to use it in the form we are building. It's just a registration form. Doesn't need a text area. The text area comes in maybe when you're building a form for contact us. Okay. When you're building a form for contact us, maybe in a website, where the client or the user could write a message to you and send to your email, right? So yeah, that's it for the form. So what I will urge you is to play around with the different types of inputs. Now here we are using the text input, the email, the password. Yeah, the text, the email, and the password. Earlier on, we saw different types of inputs. Okay, so you could play around with it, see how it looks, feel. Yeah. So one more time, is there any clarification I need to make? I don't know if I answered your question, Ibauchi.
Okay, I think Chukwumde Bube wants to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Chukwumde Bube, you can unmute. Okay, he's not unmuting, so I guess probably his network, or maybe he didn't intentionally raise his hand.
Okay. So I hope we have please do. It's important to have this form because we'll be also styling it in our CSS class. So easy to learn the CSS too. Okay. So please do well to have it in your working file. Yeah, I don't know. Goodness, is there any other thing you need to say to them?
Okay. Nothing much. Our class tomorrow is by 4 p.m. So guys, let's try to be on the call on time. And remember what we said, in 2 weeks, this is second week, right? So by next week, you're going to do a lot of selection, right? A lot of selection. So it basically depends on how committed and how passionate you are to go, because we don't want to put in resources and bring in mentors, and then at the time you drop, or maybe you tell us that you cannot cope with the class, or maybe you cannot cope with the whole program. So we're going to do a lot of selection by next week, I think starting from Monday or Tuesday. So please, let's take our classes seriously and our assignments seriously too. So that's all I can say for now. So guys, I don't know, we've come to the end of today's class. Chima, if you have anything to tell us, or maybe assignments, or I don't know, if you're done, then okay. Someone said something on the chat. I think Soporo. I don't know if you've answered this, Chima. Said please explain again the essence of the ID in an input.
Yeah, I've answered that.
Okay.
Sapro,
Okay.
there was a link. There was a link sent to you guys in the channel for the assignment submission. If you are in that channel, you should have seen it. Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's all for today. Chima, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, you can actually say thank you and have a great evening. Bye. We can use the chat, or probably we can unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks all for joining.
Thank you, sir.
I really love the commitment. You know, just keep it up, please. Like I pointed out earlier, commitment is very important. It's very, very important. Okay. Yeah, thank you all.